So, in this episode, Tom, I'd like to talk a bit about the demystifying the ascension process.
Okay.
So, we're all going through some places right now in history and in our and where we're at as souls on this planet that I want to talk a little bit about what is the ascension process, how are we affected, mind, body, and spirit, and how to keep moving through it in a way that's more balanced for people.
And I think that, is it related to my everyday life, or is it just an idea that I have about someday I'm going to ascend?
Ooh, practical and being practical with it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so first I want to start with what is the actual definition of ascension? It's actually I looked it up. The definition is a spiritual concept describing the gradual process of achieving higher consciousness, awareness, and transformation.
Sounds good.
It's about actually like shedding old patterns, embracing more of a spiritual connection, and realigning with higher states of being. So I know like in the Bible, it's really was going from like the physical state to the heavenly state like Jesus Christ did in the
Ascended
story.
into heaven, they said. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I know for myself lately, I've noticed this in a lot of things. There's a lot going on especially I've noticed physical. So I guess we can start with the body.
Okay.
I know for myself, every couple of days or so in the last few weeks, I've had a headache. I've felt things in my heart and my liver, and I feel a lot of things shifting and changing. And then it's like only for a short period of time, I'll have an awareness or a pain, and then I'll feel at a source. I won't feel good. You've noticed that I'm like, Tom, I just don't feel good. And then I'll go to bed and I'll sleep, and then the next day I wake up and I'll be fine. And to me, for myself, that's part of this shift of energy for myself. And I'm noticing there's also people around me that have had some big things going on. Some big things with different parts of their body that are shifting and changing. And matter of fact, yeah, my mom was talking to a group of women that she knows back when she used to live in Florida, and like this lady said, it's really weird that there's like 4 or 5 of you, the women, who actually all have like foot and leg things going on at the same time.
Oh, boy.
I know for me, that's about direction, right?
Well, like attracts like.
And like attracts like. But it's so interesting. And I know other people too that are going through some major like realizations of things that or they need to like situate and get healthier before kind of moving forward with stuff.
Okay.
How have you noticed things? Have you noticed things for yourself in the body aspect?
Well, that's something that I've noticed that you're really tuned into is how you're physically feeling. And then you work with your spiritual helpers or your guidance to kind of discern, why am I picking this up? And a lot of the times it's because of something that's going on in your environment, or I hear you share about somebody close to you going through something. And then I notice that once you identify it, with your guidance and kind of recheck that with your guidance and discern where that's coming from, and it goes away. So I notice for myself is if I'm moving through some patterns, that I've lived in the past, or patterns of energy, patterns of exhibited in my behavior, that I can feel somewhat out of sorts, but I've learned to just sort of carry on through it, gut it out. And instead of, wait a minute, why am I feeling a little funny or, a little tired? All of a sudden, I feel a little something funny. What's that about? So you're a great example of, just checking it out and not accepting that every physical pain is necessarily my true feelings. It's not my situation, but I can see that if I buy into that, it can become something that manifests within me. So, various concepts attract certain feelings. And when you work with your guidance and, many other mystics or psychics or people that work with spiritual healing, there's meaning behind various illnesses and so forth. But like you say, like direction is legs and so those are some clues for us to work with our own spiritual helpers and get our own answers as to what concept am I holding on to that's allowing that energy to move in.
Yeah. So I guess what I hear you saying, Tom, is gathering a bigger spiritual picture for an individual of like you're saying, like why. And sometimes I don't even need to know the why, but I recognize that that I'm going through something like, I know people that'll be like, oh, you're sick and you feel like crap, you're sick again. No, I'm not sick. I'm moving. There's energy in my body that's moving through and I'm not sick. And I know for myself too, like around Thanksgiving, we had my daughter and the baby and her husband over, which was lovely. And we had a great heart opening day, right? But then my heart hurt later on the afternoon because I'm still disconnected from the other soul that I brought in. So it's interesting too that I notice how, depending upon what I'm going through on day to day, my energy shifts and changes, but it also affects my physical body. So gathering that bigger picture as to why am I processing this, or what am I going through, has really helped me a lot.
We exist in a highly intellectual world, and often the feeling part where your inner wisdom lies gets left out. There's a way to feel more in balance with all parts of yourself. This way is by accessing a spiritual bigger picture of who you are as a soul. Check out the link in the show notes to access a free video series created by the Wayshowers College to support your journey and moving through this game of life. Your intellect and feeling parts will love it.
For me, it's, I notice that reminds me to recognize just how sensitive I am and not assume an answer, but really cleanse, work with our cleansing technique, call my guidance close, get a key word or two to help me discern, what's really going on. And so I would say that, so when your heart hurts because of the other disconnect, what that reminds me of is like what comes to me as you were sharing, not that I knew this before we started, but what kind of comes to me is like, oh, there's still a concept there, that I have, which I picked up in my first 7 years, or it's a concept we have, generally in society that, I haven't quite fully identified that, concept yet.
Well, there's a
But
concept.
it's a step-by-step process of
Absolutely.
ascending through all that.
Right. And I like that you said that, ascending through all of it. So, because honestly, and there's so much in the spiritual community right now talking about the ascension and the next 6 weeks and this and that. It's like, I truly believe that every soul comes back to earth to go through the ascension process in whatever consciousness they're going through, whatever level of consciousness they're going through. So I believe the whole time we're here, but just it seems like it's been pinpointed lately, and and really brought to the light of, oh, this is the time frame of it happening. Well, it happens when we come back in the body. Do you believe that, Tom?
Well, what strikes me as you share that is this is something similar to what I've been picking up, over the last week or so, is that really my perspective is I'm here going through an ascension process. I'm learning and growing. I'm evolving. And the speed at which I do that is going to be based on, my how badly I want to ascend. And I think there's a point where, the suffering, you just get tired of it. So it's like, it's time to move on to a different, I better get the facts from my guidance. I better tune into my true feelings and help turn that experience into wisdom, as I have the full idea. I love that. I want to say that again, that I love that I'm actually here ascending. It's not something I'm going to do when I pass on.
Right.
I'm going to rise to the level of consciousness that, I sort of work with here. And I think that, more the religious training is, well, you're here to suffer. And then, in certain dogmas, not all dogmas, but in certain base, the idea is more, the interpretation of all that is that I'm going to suffer here so that I can be rewarded in heaven and ascend into heaven. But really the evolutionary process is here.
Absolutely. While we're in these physical bodies. So that's the first thing I really wanted to mention was the body. So let's talk a little bit more now about the mind and how we're taking in so much information. And a lot of these things that come to me as far as the mind is like a lot we talk about on spiritual perspective, discerning news, and how there's so much out in the world right now that's being brought to the surface, exposed, truths on all kinds of different levels, and how that's shifting our mind to ascend.
Yeah, well, certainly it seems like in every area of life, whether it's pharmaceuticals or health or diet or the military industrial complex or politics, everything seems to be going through this, you might say, a revelation, where things are being revealed. Oh, extraterrestrials, we were talking about that with my sister this morning, and how, there's a new movie coming out on disclosure where now the government and high officials are admitting that there's these extraterrestrials that have been visiting and so on and so forth. So like every area, our eyes are being opened or truths are being revealed. And I know for me, it can seem a little overwhelming, like, oh my God, there's all this, that's not the picture I was raised with. And yet there's truth in the picture I was raised with. There's truth in that. So that's what I see, I guess so it must be a precursor to moving beyond, some of the concepts we have that, help us feel safe or keep us organized.
As the Earth's crust shifts and changes, our lives do the same. One way to maneuver through the small and large moments that shake us to the core is by reviving your connection to spirit, gathering ways to cleanse your energy field, embracing spiritual awarenesses to give you a bigger picture, and knowing that you are not alone on your journey can be a great support. The Soul Quake Survival Guidebook is a great companion to meet you where you're at and support reviving your connection to spirit in earth-shaking times. Get your copy today through Amazon worldwide in paperback, ebook, or in audio, and begin embracing more clarity, inner peace, and enthusiasm for your life and what you've come to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, going to the mind part, and I know for myself, I'm with you too, as far as, there's so much information that sometimes it overwhelms me a bit. But when I have tuned into, and this is a really great key, is tuning into what parts of all the things going on right now do I really need to be a part of or understand for my journey. I was talking to someone the other day, and we were talking about how, going through life, I've recognized that I've mastered certain things, and there's other things that I really need to, be aware of and master. I think that's the real key for the mind aspect, is for each individual soul, what are you really needing to be involved in, and what you need to intake, and and to move into your mind and your intellect and your understanding, in order for you to move to the next mastery of what you're really here to do.
Yeah, my favorite example in recent times is that in business, I've been noticing how at times I'll feel under pressure, and it's not like a huge pressure. I enjoy the work that I do, but there'll be a little subtle nervousness or a little subtle feeling of competition. And sometimes it's not so subtle, or wanting to please, customers and those kinds of things. Or a customer's upset and really it's got nothing to do with me. They came in upset and I just work there, and they have a real attitude, So what I've been tuning into lately, and my guidance kind of helped me be aware of this, is that no matter what I do, and no matter how good I am at the job or what I'm involved with, I am still everlasting as a soul. And so that word everlasting has a lot of, there's a good feeling, there's a positive feeling behind it. And now I look to improve. I always look to be more efficient and improve my service to others. But even if I'm not that good at it, I don't have the mental checklist yet to go through a process or a procedure, or I'm still learning about that area. My intellect is still being, you might say, enlightened in that area, or, given those facts that I can remember and work with, the feeling of being everlasting is just like, no matter what, life is like the blink of an eye, and the time span of eternity is the sort of feeling I get. And, another feeling that stimulates is there really is nothing wrong. I'm just here to learn and grow. And no matter what, I am going to be everlasting. So that reminds me, one of the reasons I bring it up is it reminds me of what you're saying when you opened with, this idea of ascending is while I'm here. I'm ascending while I'm here. That changes my perspective back to something that helps me relax. So can I share like the results of that? Or
Sure.
did you? Okay. So as I was one day at work for a few days, I was really tuning into just really rolling with the flow. And no matter what, there was never any reason for me to feel pressure, based on somebody else's attitude. I'm just there to be of service and, having a healthy detachment from other people's experience and just, trying to help out, not taking things personally. And I noticed that, I was hoping to hit some key performance indicators and get some recognition. All of a sudden, as I'm just working on being in my feelings and staying relaxed and respecting where my energy's at, like staying in that relaxed present mode. And like I say, but moving towards wanting to be of service, I started receiving all this recognition, and it was my energy was what had shifted. And all of a sudden things around me started to shift. And I almost went, it can't be this easy. It can't be this
But it
easy,
can
but
be.
it is this easy.
Yeah.
So there's a real world experience of, instead of moving from my concepts, what I've been taught is I'm supposed to hit certain numbers and I'm supposed to do this and I'm supposed to do that. And of course, I started hitting those numbers by just focusing on my energy, how I was feeling, tuning into those true feelings of love in the sense of I'm just here to be of service and, offer opportunities to people, offer services. And I think that about sums it up.
That's a good part of the demystifying the ascension process.
Yes.
Versus, being all like, oh my God, I'm not ascending and I'm not doing my work and I'm not, which I hear from people sometimes, right? And I'm not on my path and I'm not like, relax. It really, I think that's the key to it is it's so simple. It's simpler than we think about. And what I like what you said too about that, when you mentioned how you're just part of, everything, you're everlasting.
Uh-huh.
Like that's part of the spirit, the mind body spirit is that, we never die. We're always going to be here or be somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Somewhere, maybe on another planet or whatever, or back with the collective. But the fact that it's simpler than we make it out to be, demystifying the ascension process and making it so, you recognize that, it's not about the fact that I'm not going to 10 workshops and meditating for 20 hours or, chanting, to my navel or whatever,
Right.
people want to
It's
do.
not the holier than thou.
No.
I have perfect. Another way for me to share this is like, oh, my behavior's perfect, so therefore I'm perfect.
Right.
Or my behavior hasn't been perfect, therefore I'm not going to be everlasting. That's confusion.
Absolutely.
That's taking the truth in, say, a religious idea or concept, and it's become too intellectual rather than, well, what do my feelings tell me?
Yeah, and we were just talking this morning with your sister in our green room, in the living room, about how, all three of us are in different places right now in our, our careers, and how, there'll be some shifting and changing down the road to perhaps go into something else. But the big thing that I feel about, moving into, maybe we'll call it an ascension process, right? To the next level of mastery, whatever, is just showing up. Just showing up to in this moment of time and also knowing that wherever each person's at, like we'll say ourselves, we're in the right place for the right timing to work with the right people and the right energy. And I know we all share different aspects of, some challenges and some pros and things that are happening in our businesses that we're working in, but we're all embracing it. We're all showing up. That to me, it's a big key, is that showing up.
Well, and some folks have mastered areas that I haven't mastered, and I've mastered areas that they haven't mastered. And so, it's really up to me what I'm getting out of that, opportunity. I've attracted that situation, or I'm in that situation because of the concepts I have and the opportunities I have. But if I look at it from the inside out, that's a big key, I know, for me.
Well, and I know for myself also is I'm fully involved and fulfilled with where I'm at. But when it's done, it's time to move on. Like I just know when things are done and it's time to, exit stage left, as we'll say it. So one thing I want to talk a little about too is, the transformation or the transcending, that impacts your entire being, which is what we're talking about.
Mhm.
Not just one part. It's not just the physical. It's not just the mental. It's not just spiritual. It's your whole being. And so in, giving ourselves grace, honestly, through the process and knowing that, what we're each experiencing at this time is exactly what we've put in place to experience for this moment in time.
And I feel for me when I just, balance that with, well, I'm everlasting, as I tune into the feeling of that and I accept that, I accept, because that's my true feelings anyways. My true feelings feels that, I'm still faced with the day-to-day challenges. Today we're faced with the challenge of shoveling a lot of snow and
Right.
and maybe have an event that's not going to happen, and all those, all the normal stuff that goes on in the physical material area. But I guess what I'm hearing from my guidance is it's just, how do I pay attention to what I'm here to learn and grow? It could just be a key word of, relaxing, being patient, communicating, simple things to change my habit patterns that, keep me bogged down, but just sort of recognizing them, releasing them, implementing solutions, just practicing more being the real me. There's something else I wanted to share about when you're ready.
Mhm.
On planet Earth, the more that religions have this idea of a hierarchy, we're always going to struggle with that, because spiritually, as souls, we're all equal. Now, on planet Earth, in the material world, there's some have more than others. But from a spiritual perspective, for the soul, when we're back out in the universe and even here, there's no greater than or lesser than. Now, there's souls that have more experience. There's souls that have more training. There's souls that have more direction than I do, or less direction than I do. And that's all part of the learning and growing experience. But planet Earth has got this ideas, the concepts here are about power and survival of the fittest, and the competition, which can be, there's positive to competition, of I want to improve my service. And it's great that I sort of set a goal in a time frame, and it's a measure of how well I'm doing, in terms of being the real me. But kind of what I'm sharing about is that, like, wow, if I move from the inside out, I make sure my energy's relaxed, I'm positive, I'm not taking things personally. The areas where I needed to, and like I say, other people might even not even have those issues. They've got a lot of experience in that area, so they don't take things personally, or they stay detached. So we're constantly, I guess, we're going to find new situations where I refine what, I'm learning about.
Yeah, and the insights I get about that is it's also comes with wisdom.
Spiritual growth is not a race. It's a gradual progression. You do not have to spend 24 hours a day working on it in order to feel more inner peace, deeper connection to your soul purpose, and feeling more confident in your daily life. The journey is all about balancing your physical and spiritual worlds. These two worlds are supportive for embracing the foundations of the real you. By just investing minutes a day for your spiritual part as you would invest in your house or other areas of your life. To gather more direction, clarity, and a new layer of inner awareness, check out the ebook set created by the Wayshowers College. Link and discount code in show notes.
So the longer we're here on the planet, the longer we're in these bodies, the longer we're in relationships, and we're in jobs, and we're having experiences and opportunities that really amplify and expand who we are as a soul, that gives us more wisdom to work with. And I think that's why I really enjoy, having this podcast and sharing on it, especially with you, Tom, and Tiger and others that come on as guests, is that the accumulation of wisdom that we have as a team, and the collaboration as a team and as souls, it really can shine how, like if you really embrace life and share, the wisdom that comes through, it's really amazing.
Well, yeah. And, we were talking about enthusiasm. And last night we went to, a community event in where we live. And Teresa, it's snowing. So Teresa says, in the middle of the streets were blocked off. She goes, I want to make a snow angel. And here she is, a very mature woman, laying down, making snow angels, having a laugh about it. And I thought, like, that, she's so masterful, and her enthusiasm is so genuine. And it was, it's great. So that when I'm really in my feelings and I'm being me, it sparks a healing in others. It helps all of us kind of reawaken. Oh yeah, that's right. I have that opportunity, at least right now. What happens tomorrow? Who knows? But, we never know for sure. But I'm in the present and I'm enjoying it. So that's a healing, just being ourselves.
Yeah. And so, like last night, I've always been very enthusiastic and always been very, like, I'll do this or that, but I've held back for a long time too. So now I'm at a point in my life, I'm like, if I want to make a snow angel in the middle of the street, I'm making a snow angel. Like, there's something in me that has shifted, and maybe it's part of that ascension process,
Right.
that I'm like, oh, I'm at a different level now, where I'm just like, I want to full on do that because I'm in this moment, and the opportunity's here, and there's a beautiful layer of snow, and it's white and no one's walked over it, and I'm just going to create it. So I think that's also what I want to share about, the wisdom and not holding back, just not holding back anymore.
Sounds good. Yeah. And, we talk about working with our spiritual helpers or our guidance. Everyone here is learning and growing. It's just, and even when I'm not working with my guidance, I'm having opportunities to learn and grow. The ascension process is going to take place. When I work with my guidance, it just goes faster. It's smoother. It's a little easier. I have these aha moments, as I love to say, and I am more in the right place at the right time. Plus, if I share with other people what I'm learning, or what's, like I had the opportunity to share this morning about how, I really found it's just me monitoring my energy, as a friend of mine used to always say, and staying relaxed and in that, positive feeling, because those are my true feelings. Because if I really, as I tune back into that everlasting feeling, I go, oh, nothing's really a big deal. It's just an opportunity. Now I have to deal with the practical things in life, but when I tune back into, like some people like meditation, just tune back into the big picture of spirit and what I'm really here to do, it really sparks my enthusiasm for all my opportunities. So one, working with my guidance, and then also being able to outflow or share with other people, which Teresa's putting together stimulates, oh, there's an idea for me. Like, that's another angle on what I'm putting together. So we need that. We need that for our ascension.
Yeah. And so for what I'm putting together for this episode and the ascension process is, there's, I guess, two real keys. One is stay relaxed and where you're at, where I'm at, where we're all at individually as souls, and also have fun. Like, have fun with the process. And I guess there's three really. And the third one is to not buy into all the crap that's out there about you're not ascending, you got to do this to ascend. Don't buy into that. You're in the perfect place for what you've come to do, and you're ascending. We're all ascending.
Yeah, I think when I just tune back into who I am, and then I start to notice the habits and attitudes in my thinking that I have, or a little emotional reactions to things. Okay, I'm going to practice. Let's change that thought. Let's what do my true feelings tell me? Oh, my true feelings tell me that everything's in the right place. Or my true feelings tell me, hey, I better get moving. It's time to move with this opportunity, So That's what all rediscovery is for me. It's reawakening what I really already know. And then how do I implement that into this situation here I have on planet Earth of learning and growing and implementing it?
So thank you for listening in to another episode of Enthusiastically Spiritual. And this one was called Demystifying the Ascension Process. We hope you got some good insights for yourself. And if you need some additional support, check out some of the links we have below. We've got some great support from the Wayshowers College through videos, through a great book series with a nice, there's a percentage off on it that you can check that out also. And we have some other offerings down below. So please feel free to check those out.
And also, if you have hit a bit of a soul quake, Teresa wrote a book. Yep. She's got some great information and techniques in there for you to get started.
That's down below.
And healing also that, you might say, immediate situation.
There you go.
A process you can go through.
So until next week, just remember that life is too short to not be enthusiastic about your unique journey. To keep the enthusiasm going, please like, subscribe, or comment below. We would love to hear from you.